What's going on, Reject Nation? Greg and John here. Today we are going to watch today from Emergency Awesome Eternals trailer breakdown, Marvel, Celestials, and Avengers Endgame connection explained. Yeah, if you haven't seen our trailer reaction, go ahead and check that out. Had Koi Jandra on from Comic Book Shopping. Shot Shang-Chi review with him right afterwards. He had to jet though. He had more important things to do. I really love that trailer. Let's see what Charlie has to say.
Welcome back, everyone. Big surprise, Marvel dropped a new Eternals trailer at midnight last night. It's been a while since anyone's done that, so we'll break it down. This is going to be my quick reaction.
Can't tell you how many texts I got.
Longer videos soon about some of the bigger Easter eggs here and what's going on with the Celestials, the Deviants, and the Eternals characters. The big thing here is they want to give you the actual story, and I think I talked a little bit about this in my last trailer video, but they actually show you the Celestials. That's probably one of the biggest things here, is revealing what they're going to look like in the film. And they make a really big deal about explaining why they didn't help out with Avengers Endgame. Probably the biggest question that people had since the movie was announced. If they're so powerful, why didn't they help? And they use Kit Harington's Black Knight character to do that. They justify it by saying they weren't supposed to interfere in the affairs of man. The funny thing that they don't address during this, though, is that Thanos is an Eternal from Titan, and he does carry the deviant gene. So technically, a deviant, or someone with the deviant gene, was attacking humanity in the rest of the universe. There'll be so many comments about that when the movie comes out, and I'm sure they'll have some moment in the movie that will address that even more, because they do talk about the snaps in the blip.
I think that's so funny because, yeah, he's a deviant. In the trailer, they said we're not supposed to do anything unless they're a deviant. And it felt like they put this in the trailer because a lot of people were questioning this already. There was so many comments of like what Charlie was just pointing out. And then they use that as the reasoning. And they go, but wait a minute, is it Thanos a deviant? Yeah,
at least the deviant gene.
He was like the most powerful deviant.
He's three-quarters deviant. They just tap out.
Just raise more questions then. But I'm sure it'll be further explained there in the actual movie itself.
But they give you the ticking clock here. 7 days till the end of the Earth in the emergence. What they're talking about is the emergence of the next Celestial. There's a Celestial growing inside planet Earth, and Celestials are massive, massive beings. So if you've ever watched a chicken hatch out of an egg, it's going to be kind of like that in 7 days. Kaboom, goodbye Earth. Next big disaster right after Avengers Endgame. Just one disaster right after the other. Tony Stark is rolling in his grave right now. What Salma Hayek's Ajak character is talking about, though, is the blip. She's talking about the Hulk snap bringing everyone back, releasing enough cosmic energy to accelerate the growth of this Celestial inside Earth. They give you the flashback PowerPoint presentation. This is a Celestial being born, but obviously this is all out of sync in the timeline. Like the meteorite that seems like it's crashing to Earth sounds like it was the original Celestial egg seeding itself in the planet. The people that would have done that would have been the Celestial host. So this giant red Celestial that Sersi says is the one that told them not to interfere in the affairs of man. Nope, don't help out during any of the wars. Don't save the Earth from Thanos. That's Arishem the Judge. He's the leader of the Celestial host. The green one later that you see wielding its cosmic energy, seeming like it's creating something, is Jemiah the Analyzer. I talked about this during my What If video last night, the What If Episode 2 video. A lot of people think that he is actually Nowhere. So Nowhere is
that would be so cool.
That Easter egg off during the movie. That would be really cool.
That's true. Well, they had like, what is that called? The Ember Genesis?
Yeah, the Genesis Embers.
Something like that.
Embers of Genesis.
And that is a Celestial head.
And it starts growing all sorts of life, bring it back
that would be so awesome if it tied in. Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah. Well, and all the multiversal possibilities based off that too.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm sure What If will at least have some type of He Who Remains tie-in at the very least. What If is canon, so that would be a really rewarding payoff ultimately, especially with that ending moment when you do see that it's coming back to life there. that is awesome. I love what I'm hearing already. I mean, and then for that episode to air 24 hours later exactly, this trailer comes out. It's not far-fetched theory at all.
No.
It's not.
Maybe that's why it was timed that way as opposed to their normal timing.
Yeah.
The way Sersi is explaining it to Dane Whitman's character, Kit Harington's Black Knight character, is that they were supposed to come to Earth 7,000 years ago to protect the humans from the deviants. That, I think, is a bit of a lie of omission, because really they're there to guard the growing Celestial egg. That's this giant structure that you see Sersi touching as it lights up with energy. Connecting this to Black Panther and Vibranium, because they make that Vibranium joke at the end of the trailer. In the comics in the past, characters have speculated that the Vibranium mound was actually intended for the creation of a new Celestial body. You have to imagine one of these giant celestials just sort of reaching over into Wakanda saying, you know what, I'm just going to take that, yoink, and just rip it right out of the ground.
I mean, that is a fascinating theory about the Vibranium, though, something I never pondered myself. And then we got Black Panther 2 that's supposed to be coming out. They do go out of their way to specifically point out Vibranium in this trailer. Like, it's played for humor in that scene, but you know Marvel, you know how they are, you know what they're doing. So I wonder if the events of the Eternals, everything is connected, yeah, I get that. But I wonder what the consequences or however this ends, how much of that will actually tie into the next Black Panther movie.
They're gonna go take back all the Vibranium to make a new Celestial.
yeah, right.
When they're sitting around in the circle here, all wearing the same clothing, I believe this is them reincarnating. This is celestial energy coming into their bodies. The red statue is meant to be a representation of Arishem the Judge. Eternals characters can be killed just like anybody else, but they are super strong. Like, they all have bodies that live for very long periods of time unless someone kills them, but the reason why they're eternal really is because they reincarnate into new bodies. As she narrates, you see them attacking some of the deviants. This seems like it's when they first come to planet Earth, like they're all standing in formation like the Power Rangers. We are here amongst you to protect you, even though we have a totally secret mission we're not going to tell you about. The other deviant you see later in the trailer talking sounds like it's going to be Crow, who in the comics I believe has a secret relationship with Thena. I believe the idea with the deviants in the movie, though, is that the Celestials created them to protect the life that they were seeding around the universe, and then eventually they just went off the rails and went rogue. So then the backup was for the Celestials to create the Eternals to take care of their big mistake with the deviants. Hopefully they'll also reference the cosmic hierarchy of the MCU, or the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, because we have Loki, the Multiverse War, He Who Remains now, but the way it sounds like this plays out in the timeline of the MCU after Avengers Endgame, it sounds like all this stuff happens, this 7-day period, before the end of the Loki finale.
Okay, let's pause for a second. The way the trailer's setting it up, and at least with like the action scenes and all that, the deviants are the villains of this movie.
Yes.
But really, it seems like it's shaping up that the Celestials will be the main enemies of the movie,
Yeah,
like the bigger baddie. The way how a lot of these Marvel movies go, you got the main antagonist you're going up against, and come to find out, like, no, this is actually the real big threat that we have to deal with.
Yeah, the people who send the orders down the line. And if that's true, if Earth is home to like a big celestial egg that's waiting to crack, and they mostly just need people to protect it until it does, like, that does seem like it would entail some sinister undertones.
Like, I wonder what the motives of the Celestials are in this movie.
That's a great question, because I feel like that's part of what this phase is here to question, is like these all-powerful beings who hold the universe together. They have motivations too, though, and are fallible. So yeah, like, what is their true nature, and can they be benevolent?
What I'm kind of wondering is what might be happening. Celestials created deviants. That went haywire, so they created the Eternals to protect against them. Maybe the Celestials are not liking the way the progression of Earth is going, so they're kind of doing a rebirth, sort of a Noah's Ark thing. That's what like that flooding scene kind of reminded me of, because there's so much biblical undertones. Even though the Eternals were created to pretty much obey Celestials, now they've been endeared to humans. They're realizing, like, I know like that's a big part of them is like a lot of them don't like the humans or really care about them, but now perhaps they're like, all right, you know, instead of wiping out humanity, it's not fair to do that to them.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, at least probably through Sersi, or one of those characters who is more connected.
Exactly. So like she'll be the inspiration linchpin for all of them to make a difference and not just obey the Celestials.
Yeah, or drive a rift into the group.
Even though when you start talking about time travel, the multiverse, it gets a little crazy, I think they just want to keep this movie as simple as possible because they're introducing so many new characters. So He Who Remains would know about what's going on here, but for the sake of simplicity, I would just treat the Loki finale with the true version of the multiverse. The Kang variants sort of manifesting is happening after the events of the Eternals movie. You see, all of them use their powers just a little bit. They all have slightly different powers, like Phastos, for instance, is the inspiration for the Greek god Hephaestus. He makes things. That's why Richard Madden's Ikaris character is like, oh, this is a perfect shelter you built here. I bet this is built out of Vibranium, as he smashes his table. Nope, that one's IKEA. All of them wield the same celestial energy that the Celestials themselves wield, which is why all their powers are color-coded the same, even though they manifest in slightly different ways. Like Angelina Jolie's character uses celestial energy to fashion weapons. So really the stakes of the movie are that they have to find a way to either stop this celestial egg from hatching, or to find a way to hatch it and not destroy the Earth in the process, and also stop the celestial host from coming back to planet Earth and wiping it out. When the Collector was explaining the history of the universe, the Infinity Stones, and you see Isan the Searcher using the Power Stone to wipe out a planet, I'm also wondering if they're going to connect that to what's happening in this movie. The Celestials are kind of like cosmic gardeners. They go around seeding life on planets, and when an experiment doesn't work out, they'll just wipe it out and start over again. But also, the way they explain it in this movie, the Celestial that's growing inside Earth needs cosmic energy, so I'm also wondering if they'll try to connect it to that Guardians of the Galaxy Isan the Searcher moment with him using the Power Stone on that planet, seeming like he's wiping it out, but maybe really he was just trying to unleash cosmic energy to grow another Celestial and hatch it in that planet. I did a big video about Kit Harington's Black Knight character and where he sort of fits into the MCU, what his history is, so I'll link that below in the description. But I think the big thing in this movie is that he's sort of the point of view character, learning about the Eternals for the first time, and he's sort of an audience surrogate. Like, who are you? What are you doing here? Why haven't you helped us in the past? Why didn't you stop Thanos? Even though he's kind of your cousin? Because this giant red Celestial told us he would squish us like bugs if we did anything. I believe the idea is that Dane Whitman's character won't actually become full-blown Black Knight till the sequels or other Marvel movies, because he's supposed to cross over into Avengers 5 with Sersi's character. But I think the idea is that they'll tease his origin towards the end of this movie. Like, he'll learn about the Ebony Blade, the curse of his family, but I'm not expecting him to fully wear the armor until whatever the future sequels wind up being. But in the way they reference the Avengers in the last trailer, they're referencing the Black Panther characters, Vibranium in this trailer, they're sort of connecting it to the other Marvel movies. You sort of find out where they've been this whole time and how they were watching all the events of the MCU movies unfold. I know there's going to be a lot of timeline questions too. You also have to remember that the events of WandaVision take place many weeks after the end of Avengers Endgame, so I'm also assuming that WandaVision, the Hex, and Scarlet Witch becoming full-blown Scarlet Witch doesn't happen till after the events of the Eternals movie.
Feels like every year a channel like New Rockstars or Emergency Awesome can just do an updated timeline video of the MCU.
Yeah, it's a reliable piece of content.
It's constantly, yeah.
You'll always have a reason to post one because the timeline just gets crazy.
But I think it's pretty easy to make the assumption that they do save the planet because none of the other Marvel characters in those projects were addressing a giant celestial just shooting straight up out of the planet. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you in that next video.
I did hear at one point they reused Iron Man's like arc reactor sound effect during the trailer. I need to go back to the trailer to find out again what specific moment it is. We've talked plenty about the Eternals so far. I know Emergency Awesome's gonna be doing another like full-on breakdown later on today, but this was about what I would want to learn and get from the video.
For a noob like me, this was a big help already.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
felt like a breakdown.
I thought this was great because I'm already like pretty well up to date on like who the characters are. Let's see if I can do this. Kingo, Druig, Phastos, Ikaris, Thena, Makkari, Sprite, Sersi. God, who am I missing? I know what all of them do. I just want to see if I can commit all of them to memory. Oh, there's like another one.
Oh, I know.
Who is it?
Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh! Dang it. How did I forget the Asian guy?
Yeah, what gives, Mr. Shang-Chi Pride over here?
The one guy I forgot. I don't know, something kind of reads a little bit malevolent about what Ikaris is doing here. I don't think he's like a bad guy, but I have a feeling he's not going to be ultimately on the... There's clearly like a love triangle thing that's probably going to occur between Kit Harington and Richard Madden, and I imagine that what it will come down to is like ideologies being different about this whole idea.
Yeah.
Where like Kit Harington's going to obviously be on the side of humanity, and I felt like Richard Madden, by the time you get to the finale or halfway through, is not going to be on the same philosophical point of view. That's sort of where I'm concluding with it.
Yeah, and I almost feel like they're throwing in these very sinister Druig moments in the trailer to draw us away from that, to be like, well, he obviously has to be the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, I could definitely see them going for a surprise, like, oh damn, the leader's not really the good guy.
All right, guys. Well, Eternals, are you excited for the movie? Let us know your thoughts down below. Subscribe, click that notification bell, hit that like button. Last but not least, let's do a pick. Everett Baker, your name starts with E, just like the Eternals. You are perfectly suited for this. I mean, the second letter in your name is V, which is like the word vendetta, another comic book movie.
Yeah.
And then you got another E here.
Yeah. Like Elektra, another comic book movie.
And then you got another letter here, R, which is like Richard Madden, one of the Eternals.
Yeah.
Then you got another E, like Jamie Foxx's Electro. You know?
Definitely.
And then you got a T here, like
Tom Hiddleston as Loki
There you
in
go.
the MCU.
See, it all fits. And then
Yeah.
there's another T you got. in
Yeah,
your
like
name.
Tom Hardy as Venom in the SPUMC.
Mr. Baker, like Dylan Baker
Oh.
from the Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah, Dr. Connors.
You are perfectly suited for this shout out. Thank you for being part of our Patreon page, and thank you for your support. You rock my socks.